All right, today we're going to talk about a really simple idea, but one that can untangle some of the most painful knots in our relationships. Seriously, it's this powerful tool for figuring out why we so often misunderstand ourselves and, the people we care about the most.
So let's just start with a feeling that I think we all know, right? We're around people all the time, but what is actually going on inside their head, you know? So often it just feels like a total mystery. It's kind of like trying to see through thick clouds.
I mean, I'm sure we've all been there. You just felt it in your gut. You saw all these so-called evidence, you connected all the dots, and then you find out the real story was something totally different? Wow. It's such a confusing and honestly pretty painful moment, isn't it?
Okay, let's get really specific here. Picture this. You send a message, and the reply you get back is just K. Or maybe hours go by with no reply at all. You feel that little drop in your stomach, and boom, immediately your mind just starts writing a story.
You know that whole reaction? It actually has a name. We can think of it as falling right into something called the mind-reading trap. It's that automatic jump we make, right, from a simple action, like a short text, straight to a huge conclusion about what's going on in someone else's head.
And this is pretty much how that cycle works. First, we see some kind of action, and our brain, well, it just hates a vacuum. So it immediately tries to fill in all the gaps. And what does it fill them with? Usually our own fears and our own insecurities. We just project them onto that blank screen, creating this whole negative story. And then our emotions just grab the steering wheel and drive us straight toward a misunderstanding that can really damage a relationship.
And here's what's so important to get. This is not some kind of personal failing. It's not like you're broken. It's a deeply human thing to do. But, and this is a big but, if we let it go unchecked, this trap can build these massive walls between us and the people we love. It literally creates conflict out of absolutely nothing. So the big question is, how do we get out of this trap? Well, we need a new tool, a totally different way of thinking. And that tool is called Mentalization. It's basically the practice of looking behind the behavior to see the mind that's actually at work.
So here it is, the core definition. Mentalization, it's really just the work of trying to understand the inner world. You know, the thoughts, the feelings, the whole mental state that's behind what people do. And you got to notice, it's a two-way street. It's about understanding others, sure, but it is just as much about understanding yourself.
And this is the simple truth. At the heart of it all, we never act randomly. That K-text, it wasn't random. And your reaction to it, also not random. Every single action, yours, theirs, everybody's, is driven by an inner world of thoughts, feelings, and desires.
And when you start practicing this, wow, the benefits are just enormous. I mean, when you get better at seeing that link between feeling and doing, it's almost like you gain a superpower. Seriously, you can manage your own emotional reactions way better, you can communicate so much more clearly, and you can totally short-circuit those painful misunderstandings before they even have a chance to start.
Okay, but to use this tool the right way, we have to come at it with a lot of humility. And this brings us to a really profound idea about the limits of what we can actually know.
This right here, this is the absolute heart of it all. You can never be 100% sure what someone else thinks or feels. We just have to let go of that idea. It's all about accepting that there's a fundamental uncertainty baked into all of our relationships. So why is it so hard? Why is being certain so impossible? Well, for starters, we can't actually read minds, right? But it's way more than that. Sometimes people aren't being totally open with their feelings. Or heck, maybe they don't even understand their own feelings all that well. And then you add stress to the mix? Forget about it. Our ability to think clearly about anyone's mind, including our own, just completely plummets.
Okay, I know this might all be sounding a little bit abstract, so let's bring it back down to earth. Let's take a practical pause here and see exactly how this whole thing plays out in a real-life situation.
So, we're back in that all-too-familiar, super uncomfortable spot. The message is sent, the hours are ticking by, you see they've been online, and there's just silence. The mind-reading trap is officially set and waiting for you. And here you can see the two paths forward, perfectly laid out. Over on the left, you've got the mind-reading trap. Your mind just jumps to this negative, certain conclusion. They're ignoring me. It becomes a story all about rejection. But now, look at the path on the right. This is the mentalizing pause. It starts by just naming your feeling. I feel hurt. But then it shifts. It shifts into genuine curiosity. See the difference? It opens up possibilities instead of just slamming the door shut.
You know, that shift from the left column over to the right, that's everything. That's the whole game. It's a fundamental change in your mindset. It's about moving away from this illusion that you can be certain and stepping into the real power of being curious.
And this is so important to remember. The goal here isn't to get better at guessing what people are thinking, it's to get better at wondering. We're not trying to become perfect mind readers, not at all. We're trying to become curious, compassionate explorers of our own minds and the minds of others.
So how do we actually do it? Well, this is basically your practical guide. It all starts with getting curious, asking yourself questions like, I wonder why I'm feeling so strongly about this, and I wonder what might be going on for them. Then you have to stay open. Consider that there are other possibilities. Try not to judge. And finally, just accept it. Accept that humble uncertainty, knowing you'll never ever know for sure.
And all of this leads us to one final thought to leave you with. Just think about it. What could change in your life, in your work, in your friendships, in your family, if, in those really tense moments of friction and misunderstanding, you could just pause and intentionally choose curiosity over that false comfort of being certain? It really is just a small shift in your thinking, but it's a shift that can honestly change everything.